Are you ready?
Agility from the champion.
Oh, deep six!
That could be a delivered this deep six.
This is episode 116. Good evening, everybody. I am joined by Christopher Roan. Chris, how you doing tonight?
I'm good. It was a long day, but we had some wrestling tonight, and we're gonna talk about it. We're gonna have a fun time talking.
Oh, I hear that. It's a long day. It's been a long weekend. So before we get started, so this is episode 116. This is our Money in the Bank prediction show. We're not going to talk much about Raw because this is really the only night we were able to get a prediction show in this week. Obviously, tomorrow, pending, we have our Becky Lynch book review show tomorrow. Then we have Money in the Bank post show on Saturday. We have our Raw post show next Monday. There's a lot coming out from our Aftermath Pro Wrestling podcast as far as content goes. So it's been a long weekend, so let me explain. Yesterday I did my thing 7 in the morning till 3 in the afternoon. Got home, I was tired. I needed to energize a little bit. And then what happened was I talked to my buddy. I'm like, you know what? Let me just take a look at SeatGeek, see how much tickets for AEW pay-per-view is tonight, the UBS Arena. And we're looking. Ringside was actually you could have gotten a hard cam seat in ringside for $250. If I wanted to, I could have gotten tickets right by the ramp, close to the entrance, for about $130. But then we also saw the $30 tickets, so we went for that. I'm like, $30 for a pay-per-view? Sign me up. Well, it was actually like $44 after taxes and fees. But sign me up. And it was a darn good show. We had Britt Baker. She came out to go eyes to eyes with Sasha Banks from the ramp. So we saw that. Funny thing is, before that even happened, I had no clue Britt Baker was coming out. I was talking to my buddy who I was with, and I was like, you know what? I can imagine somebody like a Britt Baker coming out and doing a stare down of Sasha Banks after this is over. Sure enough, it happened. I had no clue. Nobody reported it anywhere about Britt Baker. It was a complete surprise. Even I was surprised, but I just kind of like threw it out there, like bait in the water. I just threw it out there, and sure enough, that happened. Great match between Swerve and Will Ospreay. But we could talk about that another time. We got some WWE stuff. Monday Night Raw just finished about 10 minutes ago. We had a really good show. In fact, the Raw main event featuring Drew McIntyre versus Sheamus versus Ilya Dragunov. The winner would qualify to be in the men's Money in the Bank this Saturday. We actually have a normal Saturday pay-per-view time at 7 p.m., so I'm very happy about 7 p.m. Not a smack in the middle of the day where you have to kind of drop what you're doing for a few hours if you want to watch it live. But 7 p.m. So I have the whole day to do it wherever I want, and then I'll watch. But 7 p.m. this Saturday. Anyhow, that was a banger. That was an absolute banger of a match that we saw. Drew McIntyre ends up winning with the Claymore and pins Sheamus. But before that, this was a stiff match, stiff shots the whole night. We saw Sheamus giving stiff shots to Drew McIntyre, Ilya Dragunov. This match was a slapper as expected. The Boston crowd probably did not go home unhappy because it was a fairly decent show throughout the night. So that happens. Drew McIntyre is now in the men's Money in the Bank match which we're going to predict first. Chris, before we talk about the men's Money in the Bank, anything you want to weigh in on here so far?
No, I mean, I feel like the Raws have been pretty steady lately. They're going in a good direction. I think, they know what they want to set up for Money in the Bank, and I feel like the show's looking pretty solid. So let's talk about it.
Yeah, it is looking very, very solid. And I can't wait to even get to the main part. I mean, this is just kind of like the builds. We're in SummerSlam season here, but I want to run something by you really quick because before the show went off the air, Drew McIntyre is getting interviewed in the ring, claiming that he is going to walk out with the World Heavyweight title in Toronto. He's going to walk out of Toronto as World Heavyweight Champion. So there's two layers to this, because obviously you have the Punk Drew feud that's going on. Punk saying that he's going to make sure that Drew does not win a title on his watch. Then you have the dynamic of the Seth versus Priest match, which we'll talk about a little bit later. So there's just a lot of things going on there. Just in that one statement, Drew says he's going to walk out World Heavyweight Champion in Toronto this Saturday night. So yeah, one could expect an attempted cash-in. But anyhow, let's talk about the match really quick before we go deeper in that. We have LA Knight versus Chad Gable versus Carmelo Hayes versus Jey Uso versus Andrade, and just added tonight, Drew McIntyre. Your thoughts on the field for this year's men's Money in the Bank match?
I mean, me personally, like I was looking at this earlier, like I don't know. This year just seems a little odd. I don't know why. Like, it doesn't seem like there's like a clear winner this year. It seems like
That's amazing.
Yeah, no, it's like it seems like WWE kind of wants to keep people on their toes, like who's gonna win, blah blah blah. There's obviously some fan favorites like the Jey Usos or whatever, but there's also like people like Carmelo Hayes, who's like kind of like an underdog that did great work in NXT that could be doing it. There's also people like LA Knight who as of right now, he's in a mid-card title picture, but he can jump up and just go straight to the world title picture within the next couple months, and people wouldn't be shocked. And then like you said, there's also people like Drew McIntyre, which could be a clear winner, but then there's CM Punk. You know what I mean? So, it's tough to call, but I mean that's kind of what WWE wants you to think nowadays. They want you to think, what would I want? And then they just, no, let's go this route. And then they like to throw little twists and turns. And that's booking that I personally like. I don't like predicting very predictable things. I like to be surprised every now and then.
For sure. Let's break this down a little bit. So we have LA Knight. Presumably, he is. I think LA Knight's going to be the one to face Logan Paul for that U.S. title at SummerSlam. We haven't gotten the match yet. The seeds have been planted. I think that happens in SummerSlam in Cleveland, Logan Paul's home city, so to speak, or Ohio's his home state. I can see LA Knight not winning the Money in the Bank briefcase. And I can see the feud continuing to LA Knight, Logan Paul, SummerSlam, where LA Knight finally wins the singles title against Logan Paul. Logan Paul can take a little time off to get ready for the newborn baby that him and his wife are going to usher into town. So that's LA Knight. So in my mind, I kind of have him as probably the least favorite or second to least favorite to win this match due to the plans that I think WWE has for LA Knight. Then we got Chad Gable. Chad Gable has been built up a little bit. He's been cutting promos that if he wins, he'll be the master in the bank. But at the same time, you got Wyatt Six looming, as we saw tonight. They've been looming around. Maybe we get the appearance of whom I don't think they're going to call Bo Dallas anymore. I guess maybe they're going to call him Taylor Rotunda. Maybe we get that appearance of him costing Chad Gable, or somehow getting him out of the match. I do not see Chad Gable here, although if I would have to probably put him as the second or third favorite to win. I just don't see it. Carmelo Hayes, he's there to be the workhorse of the match, in my opinion. He's gonna do some moves, jump off some ladders. I think he'll have a good showing here. He would probably be my second to least favorite, probably, of winning this match. Andrade. Where the heck has Andrade been? He's been lightly featured.
Mm-hmm.
He hasn't been built up here.
Current speed champion.
Yeah. He's doing that speed thing. Not the drug. They really haven't had a whole lot of builds behind him. But I suppose you can build off of a Money in the Bank win. So anything's possible there. But you would need to give Andrade time to, build to that potential cash in whenever that would happen. So Drew McIntyre. I mean, he's definitely up there as one of the favorites. But we have to keep in mind, we got CM Punk looming in the background. And CM Punk is doing everything he can to make sure that Drew will not be a world champion. So I can see CM Punk showing up during the ladder match. That we don't even get to the point where Drew McIntyre wins the briefcase and then he defends and then unsuccessfully he loses the match in the same night. That'd be a waste of a briefcase. So I don't think Drew McIntyre happens. I think CM Punk wins, costs Drew. And here we are, my favorite, Jey Uso.
Why?
Jey Uso has had lots of momentum there. He's been knocking on the door for a while now. He's had multiple main event matches, with just coming up a little short. And you could do something with Jey Uso merch-wise. Have a Yeet in the Bank briefcase. That'll sell hot off the presses, let me tell you that. So I'm thinking that from a marketing strategy here, like Jey Uso's you got. Yeet in the Bank briefcase. And the fanfare, he's just so over right now. And you don't have to rush this cash in either. And if you want to think long term, you still have a lot of feuds that need to be handled. Drew McIntyre versus CM Punk, potentially SummerSlam, does not need a title. Does not need a title on the line. You got the potential of maybe doing a Seth versus Punk at WrestleMania for a title match. I don't know if that's still the plan, but you could easily probably have Jay roll with a briefcase and maybe a world title match. Maybe somewhere around the time where Jamie and Priest's time is about up. Maybe maybe around Survivor Series, give Jey Uso a run and see what happens. But yeah, I think I got Jey Uso winning. Based on off of everything I have explained, what are you thinking?
I don't think Jay is winning.
Really? So who
Yeah.
do you think is going to win his Money in the Bank?
Me personally, I mean, you made a good point, and I don't disagree with it. But then again, the Money in the Bank contract isn't really necessary for what he's doing right now. But then again, it's not necessary. Um, I don't know. I think LA Knight would be a good holder. Me personally, um, I think that dark horse is like Andrade because he's the person that like you wouldn't suspect to do anything because he's not coming in with momentum and he's not heavily highlighted as of right now. I don't think Jay's winning. Me personally, I don't think Jay will ever be anything but a tag wrestler. I think he's doing good work by himself. I think he's over, but I think every single chance he's going to get chopped down, and that's what WWE wants their fans to be so behind a big babyface like Jey Uso, and then just chop him right down. The Drew thing again, it's Punk's looming. That's easily going to cost him. So Drew's out of the question. I don't know. Like you said, Gable isn't really seen as a world title person. Carmelo Hayes is new. I mean, Triple H is very high on Carmelo Hayes, but I feel like that's such a big jump up for Carmelo Hayes so early on the main roster that it probably won't happen. I think Andrade and LA Knight are my two front runners.
Okay, so if LA Knight wins the briefcase, how do you book that?
I think he can keep doing his stuff with Logan Paul. I think he. I mean, you've seen like who's done it. I think Miz, right? Miz was at one point like tag champs and Money in the Bank at one time, if I'm correct.
I'd have to research that, or
It,
I'd have to ask Encyclopedia Joe on that.
there has to be. I think
So there's a very close. If not, maybe it did cross over.
I mean, I'm sure that there have been people that have been Money in the Bank holders and have fought for other titles, going into it. But like, there's no reason why somebody can't be hungry for more gold and be able to have that world title shot anytime they want. And say, LA Knight can go for the U.S. title, and who's to say, LA Knight doesn't lose the U.S. title, and then he's like, oh well, I still got this, I can go for the world title now. Like
That's possible. I mean, it's listen. LA Knight would be a great Money in the Bank winner, and based on the work he's done, I totally agree. He should be. You would think he should be the future. It's just how they have him placed in storyline. Is just another thing that's maybe thrown me off just a little bit. We have to keep in mind that they're gonna have something for Jay to do as well. When we have the rumored by the IWC, they'll have the bloodline, the new bloodline versus Roman, Jimmy, Jay, and let's just say Sami Zayn all reunite to take on the current bloodline 2.0, whatever the hell you want to call them. And anyway, so there'll be something for Jay to do. I don't know if there'll be something for LA Knight to do long term after Logan Paul. So that for that reason, it could very well be LA Knight to be the one to win. And the U.S. title match at we think U.S. title match is going to happen at SummerSlam. Would kind of be like a little bit of a pit stop for LA Knight. I just wouldn't waste Money in the Bank cash in on a U.S. title match. It's never been done. So, but I just don't know. I just feel like Money in the Bank King of the Ring winners, that stuff should always be paired as the consolation prize to get the world title.
I want to add one thing. I know you just mentioned Money in the Bank contract,
Yeah.
U.S. title. It actually has been done. It would happen like last year, right?
Oh, enlighten me. I could be wrong.
Austin Theory cashed in on Seth Rollins for the
Mm.
or Bobby Lashley or whoever was in that feud at the time.
Oh,
So
shoot. I think you're right.
they definitely now are doing cash-ins for mid-card titles.
I'm just not a fan of it.
Knight catches in on Logan Paul for no reason because they are feuding, but still, I think if say Jay wins, like, you know, going into this bloodline versus bloodline feud, what is Jay having the world title maybe potentially by then, or the Money in the Bank contract have anything to do with that feud? It kind of
It doesn't need it.
completely separates him,
Yeah.
and somebody else could be doing that and making the Money in the Bank storyline more important than if Jay was in that bloodline versus bloodline feud.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like somebody else could be making the Money in the Bank contract relevant, while if Jay has the Money in the Bank contract in that bloodline versus bloodline feud, it's making the Money in the Bank contract take the backseat.
Mm-hmm.
Which smart.
Now, other than being chased by Wyatt Six, and other than Chad Gable, trying to make amends with Alpha Academy because he's being chased by Wyatt Six. Other than that, Gable really doesn't have much going on right now, which that could be a possibility too. If we're thinking merch sales now, Jey Uso's the guy.
Sure.
He's the guy. Yeet in the bank briefcase that's going to sell off the shelves.
My opinion, I think main event Jey Uso is a not an accurate name because if you looked at what Jay has really done mostly since he's been singles is a lot of mid card Jey Uso, if I have to say so.
A lot, but like he has been heavily featured though. Like he's been a big part of that Raw programming.
Yeah.
But sure. Yeah. I mean, not a whole lot of main events.
I see Jey Uso went after Gunther before he went after Damian Priest. So, and we can't forget about Gunther. Gunther gets a world title match.
Oh, we'll get there. We'll get there. He's gonna be chilling in the back, watching the monitors, eating some popcorn, whatever he's gonna do. Maybe he'll hang out ringside, or after the match, he'll after it's the champions decided. Maybe you'll see Gunther kind of come out to the entranceway and stare down his next opponent at SummerSlam. I could see something like that happening. I don't see Gunther not to be in there, but he's not on the card. I would suspect we would see him like backstage, confronting the champion and what have you from there. So, I mean, we've stated a good case for LA Knight, Chad Gable. I don't see in Carmelo Hayes this time around. Jey Uso is still my favorite. I mean, we've kind of stated a good case for Gable and Knight, and then Andrade is the dark horse. It would give him something to do. And I see Drew McIntyre getting screwed. Like he'll be at the top of the ladder, and CM Punk will cost him the Money in the Bank briefcase.
What about? I know. I'm sorry to cut you off.
No, you're good.
I remember you kind of said the Wyatt Six kind of costing Gable and taking him out of the match.
That's another possibility. I just don't think that's going to happen if they also have the plan for Punk costing Drew, because that would just be really convoluted. Maybe Chad Gable never makes it to the match.
Yeah. Like, what if Uncle Howdy grabs it?
As kind of like stealing his spot?
Yeah, maybe towards the end of the match, kind of like a Brock Lesnar Ali situation.
I mean, anything's possible. Um, I mean, I think right now they're really trying to heat up and build up Taylor Rotunda.
Yeah,
So I just don't think that will happen. If we were a little bit further in the storyline and not in the very beginning phases of Wyatt 6, I would say sure. Why not?
yeah, making
But
both.
right now they're like Taylor Rotunda tonight was on Raw with another sit down interview with Howdy, and with the vignette, which is awesome. They're right now they're Triple H is he's cooking up Taylor
Good.
Rotunda to build him up because the fans still remember him as the Bo Dallas. So you got to build up Taylor Rotunda and get these vignettes rolling to get the fans to be more serious about this guy.
Yeah,
And I think so far it's working.
yeah. I mean, we'll see. We'll see on Saturday.
Yeah, I can definitely rest assured. I mean, it's very good possible we'll see Wyatt 6 take out Gable before the match even starts. I think that's probably the way you do it. You'll still have 5 guys, which is fine, and then later in the match you'll see Drew get screwed over by Punk, and then the debate goes on whether it's LA Knight, Gable, Carmelo, or Uso from there. Like I said, my favorites Uso. Those of you guys that are watching, please feel free to leave a comment and a like. That'll help us out. We want to know who you guys think are going to win the men's Money in the Bank briefcase this year. So we've just kind of went in for like the last 15 minutes, 20 minutes or so, talking about the possibilities. And we ran down each guy talking about who we think stated the case of who can win and why. But anyhow. Moving on, we had the Raw on the women's side. We had the triple threat qualifier, the last qualifier for the women's Money in the Bank. In the match, it was Dakota Kai versus Zoe Stark versus Ivy Nile. I enjoyed this match. Not big names here, but I really, really enjoyed this match. But we'll get to the point. Zoe Stark gets the win here. She's a great workhorse. I love her in-ring work. She's always fun to see. My problem with Zoe Stark is I need more character development out of her. I need to same thing with Lyra Valkyria. She is phenomenal in the ring, but I need to know. I need a reason as to why that I'm rooting for this person, why I should be invested other than that they're a good wrestler. So there needs to be more character development in these ladies to build up that women's division. But anyhow, moving on. The women's Money in the Bank match, we have Io versus Chelsea Green versus Tiffany Stratton versus Naomi versus Lyra Valkyria against Zoe Stark. So I'll let you start. What do you think about this field of
I
women?
like the Money in the Bank ladder match a lot better than the men's this year. I personally think there are two front runners in this one, and that's Tiffany Stratton or Chelsea Green. Like clear winners. I have no reason to believe any of the other girls are winning.
I fully agree with you here. Um, I'm gonna tell you why in a second. As soon as I drop this comment, let's see here. Here we go. Okay, so yeah, to me, getting back to what I was saying before, similar situation. Um, Io, she won it last year. We know how her title reign went. It is what it was. Chelsea Green has been doing some phenomenal work, and in my opinion, she's picked up a lot of momentum these past couple months. I love her mannerisms, her character, her in-ring work is pretty good. Um, so she is definitely a huge possibility there. Um, Naomi, I think she's just going to be kind of like the workhorse person in the match. Lara Valkyra, very well. Definitely a good chance there. I don't see Zoe Stark winning over the other ladies, that's for sure. Um, but Tiffany Stratton, I have to say, is my favorite. I mean, one, the fans are behind her. She's got a good character. Um, and WWE would love nothing more than to sell that Barbie doll pink style Money in the Bank briefcase. You know that is happening.
Yeah.
There's a missed opportunity there of Tiffany Stratton. Those will sell off the shelves. She's marketable. She can work. She's the fans love her. And if they don't love her, she gets a crowd reaction. Tiffany Stratton's my clear favorite. I've been saying it for months. Chelsea Green has definitely stated a case for herself, however. So at some point, Chelsea Green's going to get her flowers as long as she keeps up what she's doing. Or maybe um, Chelsea Green is very happy in her role, and Triple H is happy with her in her role. But in talking kayfabe, Chelsea Green's done one heck of a job, and she's got a little momentum behind her. And at some point, I believe she's going to get her flowers. Just not too sure if it's going to happen on this particular night. I think Tiffany Stratton will be the Money in the Bank winner this year. And there's a lot of layers to that too, because now you have Nia Jax. She's going to be challenging for the women's title against Bayley at SummerSlam. So then now you also have Tiffany. If Tiffany Stratton's the woman Money in the Bank this year, carrying around that pink Barbie doll briefcase, that's what I can see that happening. That'll be an interesting story there too, as well, with Tiffany, Nia, and what have you, on the SmackDown side. So we'll have to see what happens there. So I'm not gonna beat this one to death. To be honest with you, I see Tiffany Stratton as being the favorite. EO, she's gonna go on a rant. Things have to change. Damage control. I can see damage control splitting off. I feel like I've kind of seen the seeds planted already. Chelsea Green's going to continue with what she's doing with Piper Niven. Um, and maybe Naomi does win, and she decides to challenge Bayley in advance. Something that a typical face would do, and then we get a banger between them two, like a friendly, like a Bret Hart versus Shawn Michaels friendly versus friendly WrestleMania 12 kind of thing. Not Iron Man match, but you get it, like a match built off of respect, and just go out there and have a banger. They could do something different for a change instead of having a heel always win and chase and whatever. There's stuff you can do. Lara Valkyra, I mean, very reliable in the ring. I need to see more character development at her. You never know. But it just seems like Tiffany Stratton's the standout for me. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I feel like we can compare the women in the Money in the Bank ladder matches to the men in the Money in the Bank ladder matches in their positions. Like you said, the Lara Valkyria is kind of like the Carmelo Hayes. Like they're the new person that's kind of in there because their in-ring work is really, really good, but they're just in there to kind of show a fresh new face that can kind of give certain people in the crowd hope that a newer person will be able to win. People like Zoe Stark, and I guess you can put her with Chad Gable, who are kind of like people that they're not in that match to win, but they're in that match because they're good and they're doing good work right now. And then there's the easy, predictable people, like we said, the Chelsea Greens and the Tiffany Strattons that are more comparable to the Jey Usos or the Drew McIntyres. And then there are people like Naomi. You can compare Naomi to LA Knight. And then, you can do what, I don't know, Io and Andrade. I don't know. But, you can compare those people and you can know that those places are going to be there for a reason. And people have to play their certain roles in the matches. And like you said, Naomi's there to, be kind of quote unquote the veteran because she's been in the WWE, I feel like the longest.
I mean, she could also be, for all we know, we don't know, but her placement in there, like being the veteran of that match. I mean, she's probably going to be the one helping to call all these spots for all these ladies, along with the ref and stuff like that too, as well.
Yeah, I mean, like that's the thing. Like, and I know you mentioned like maybe Naomi wins, and right when you said that, and cashes in on Bailey, and kind of being like cashes in advance and being very very fair about it, just immediately made me think back to some Naomi versus Jordan Grace stuff to TNA, and maybe for the first time, maybe we get a cash in on TNA. I know the stuff with TNA's been going kind of strong, but
Oh my gosh, that'd be nuts! Like,
I
yeah, that'd be nuts.
be something they throw out and would be nobody would ever see. But hey, your boy here thought of it first. So if it happens, I thought of it first.
Oh,
I
not
don't.
to mention this would also a Naomi versus Bailey feud would remind me of when RVD in 2006 told John Cena, "I'm challenging you at ECW One Night Stand." Did it in advance, face versus face. I was there at Hammerstein Ballroom in 2006 for ECW One Night Stand. Honestly, didn't remember much of it, to be honest with you, until like a week later, and I finally watched it on DVD. I'm like, oh man, this was a good pay per view. I was loaded. I mean, it's nothing to brag about. I don't brag on people being drunk or anything like that, but that's the time that I was living in my life in 2006, and I may have had about 120 ounces of alcohol in me, and people were holding me up, and I barely remembered half the event, and I watched it on DVD like 2 weeks later, and when it came out, and I'm like, man, this is really good. Anyway, I got off the rails there. Apologize, but it just like the thought of Naomi challenging Bailey in advance would be. It reminds me of 2006. Probably 2006, the best example. RVD calling his shot 2 months in advance.
Yeah. No, but I mean, I feel like we're on the dot. Like, I feel like we're agreeing on this one. But yeah, I feel like a Tiffany Stratton, a newcomer, she's doing really really well in ring. Promos are well, character development's really really well. Fans are
Yeah.
behind her. It's a
Yeah,
good
she's
choice.
not messing up in the ring. She's getting crowd reactions. Very marketable. Forget it. She wins this briefcase. Like WWE's gonna have a ball marketing that briefcase. Don't expect Tiffany Stratton to cash in anytime soon. Like she'll hold that for 6 months, and they'll try to get as much merch sales on that Barbie doll version of Money in the Bank briefcase. I guarantee that is probably happening. Watch, just watch. Oh man. So let's change the pace up a little bit. We could always get back to the Money in the Bank stuff in a second. We have the Intercontinental title match, Braun Breaker challenging Sami Zayn for the IC title this Saturday. I don't know. I have to say 55% Braun, 45% Sammy chances that of the winners of I think the momentum is a little bit more on Braun's side. He's got a lot of people behind him. Like the WWE, let's just say the WWE machine's behind Braun Breaker right now. And I'm seeing that he's getting good crowd reactions. The stuff that he's doing with the spear, the running the ropes, jumping onto the top rope and doing the Frankensteiner from there. He messed one up a couple weeks ago, but whatever. I mean, the ropes had a bad day. But he's really impressed. I'm not going to lie. I'm kind of low-key impressed by Braun Breaker as well. Like I said, the thing that WWE really needs to focus on, and this is AEW too, is character development. Like, not only do I want to remember like a wrestler for their in ring, but I want to remember a wrestler for years to come for their identity. Like, oh, you remember that garbage can guy? You remember that clown guy, the Indian guy? And then I'm be like, oh yeah, it's Tatanka, don't the clown, do the Josie. So you see what I'm saying? even though those are like clown characters from back in the day, cartoon characters, but at least we were able to identify and be able to remember those guys for a long period of time because they had their own identity. They had a reason of why a wrestling fan should get behind them. So I think that's kind of been something that's gotten lost in the shuffle big time between WWE and AEW. So I need to see a little more character development too, as far as Braun Breaker goes. But he's right there. I think he's walking out IC champion this Saturday. And I think he's going to have a good run with that for a little while. And I would say he'll hold it all the way through to WrestleMania to wrap up his first year on the main roster. And I think that's a pretty impressive first year. And then you can kind of do something from there, depending on how he does. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I was going to start this off by saying do not be surprised if Braun Breaker wins. I mean, it's clear WWE has plans for him. He's supposed to be the next big for a reason. So if he's getting these opportunities, do not be surprised if he wins. For me personally, am I a little upset Sammy's reign as Intercontinental Champion after beating Gunther and having that huge underdog story of beating the big bad boss ending so quickly?
It may not. It may not. They may not give Braun Breaker the title right away. They may have him come super close and then have him win it the second time.
I feel like this could be something where Sami Zayn retains via disqualification. We see the Braun Breaker craziness and the aggressiveness, like, putting Ricochet through a car window or, spearing somebody on the outside and accidentally maybe, I feel like there could be like a disqualification. Braun gets a little heated, or I don't know why I would want to say an outside interference, but I feel like something where Sammy, I don't know, because it's bad, because it would kind of make Sammy look weak. And that's something that I personally don't like, because if he's going to be retaining, kind of protect him in a way and don't make him look weak. But I don't know. Like, obviously, I would like Sammy to walk out. I don't like that they should end his reign so quickly. I feel like they should give Sammy a lot more. But even this, like, a lot of the Sami Zayn challengers, like the Gables, from back recently, they've been very, very like one-on-ones, and then randomly WWE's like, okay, let's throw Bronson Reed in there. Let's throw like a third person that can take the pinfall, but still continue the feud of, Sami Zayn and ex-opponent. And I feel like that could be something where Sami Zayn retains, and then they do Sami Zayn versus Braun Breaker, but then, somebody else gets thrown in the mix, kind of like, I don't know, maybe like a Finn Balor, who's kind of not doing anything, but then he just won the tag titles. But still, maybe like a Dominic Mysterio, or, just somebody else that could be, a little thorn in Sami Zayn's side, but still just be there for the pinfall, because they don't want to pin Braun Breaker because they know what they want to protect him, because he's supposed to be the next thing. But
yeah, I mean, Braun Breaker is going to be the guy of the WrestleMania 40s era, and maybe
yeah,
into
into
the 50s. Just stays healthy.
Yeah, as long as he
As long
doesn't
as he
get
doesn't
hurt,
do stupid crap.
there's no reason why.
Carmelo's going to be there a little later. I don't think Carmelo's going to be. I mean, Braun Breaker is going to be on the main event scene. For main event and pay per views, much sooner than Carmelo. In my opinion, Carmelo won't be far off, but
I like
Braun Breaker will be the guy.
I like Carmelo better than Braun Breaker personally, but Braun Breaker's looked as more of a main eventer, also because he's bigger, he's stronger, he can do things that somebody quote unquote his size shouldn't do.
Yeah.
And then Carmelo Hayes does things that his size should do, and I think that that's why he's better, and he also has more experience coming from the Indies. If you didn't know who Carmelo Hayes was back in the day, go on YouTube and look up Christian Casanova. Do your research on some of his old stuff. He was really good. He still is, but I feel like but you're right. Braun Breaker 100%. Even in
Braun's my favorite in this match. I mean, he's gonna get that big push. I mean, you definitely brought up a point. If they want to drag out the feud between Sami and Braun a little longer, you can have Sami Zayn narrowly win somehow, and then maybe have Sami Zayn do a couple pit stops with a few opponents, and then maybe somehow intertwine Braun Breaker, between now and Survivor Series, or into SummerSlam, and then maybe Braun wins it then. So Triple H doesn't often do quick title reigns, only when he needs to. I think Becky Lynch was the exception. But following Triple H's NXT booking for years, he's not often does he do quick title reigns. I've noticed. So
I don't reigns unless.
So we'll see. So we have that going for Sami.
What's next?
Yes. So we got let's do Damian Priest. Let's talk Damian Priest defending his title against Seth Rollins.
You want me to go first?
Pretty good build here. Sure.
Yeah, I mean,
show your heart.
Seth, I think. I think. I think the whole little Damian Priest leaves the Judgment Day kind of stipulation is what kind of throws people off with their predictions for this. But then again,
well, the other stipulation. So if Seth loses, he can't challenge for the title as long as Damian Priest is the title holder, and they've specifically made that clear. So it's not like Seth Rollins being pigeonholed into never challenging for the title, like Cody Rhodes never able to challenge for the title in AEW. Seth can't challenge for the title for as long as Damian Priest is champion.
I don't care about that. That's
but
I don't think
it's a stipulation that's there.
Yeah, but I mean,
so it's not like Seth is never going to get a title shot. He'll get his title shot eventually, just not while Damian Priest is champion.
Yeah, but I feel like that stipulation fares more for Rollins to win than for Damian to win.
Really,
right?
You think so?
Yeah, and also I'm just.
I don't know if I don't know. As a fan, I don't know if I'm ready to see Damian Priest splitting from Judgment Day.
No, I 100% agree with you. I like Damian Priest a lot. I would like his title reign to go more. It was the same reason why I was talking about Sami Zayn. I want him to keep going a little bit more. But then again, like there's a lot of things that like WWE kind of fell into a trap in when they decided to do certain things at WrestleMania, and they made decisions going forward that kind of aren't making sense right now just for the cookie cutter WWE booking. That's kind of basically only why I'm saying Rollins is going to win, because the Seth Rollins Gunther world title picture for SummerSlam is a good main event.
I'm having trouble with this one for the same reason that we talked about with Sami Zayn.
Correct me if I'm wrong.
'Cause-
I don't think Seth Rollins and Gunther have wrestled 1-on-1 before in an official pay-per-view match.
Not that I can really think of at this time.
And I feel like it's
Not-
something that they do, and it's a good thing. Not saying Damian Priest doesn't get involved and then do a triple threat down the line, but I don't think they're going to do Damian versus Gunther.
Yeah, I mean it's very interesting here. So this interesting dynamic going on with um Damian Priest and Finn Balor right now, as we saw on Raw. Damian Priest and Finn Balor bickering back and forth numerous times, talking about getting in each other's way. Finn Balor taking offense to Damian Priest, that Damian Priest is saying that he could do it without them. So there's some layers of storytelling that's going on here with that. Do they plan on going with Finn, Damian Priest? Does Finn Balor screw over Damian Priest
Damian Priest,
and show
babyface.
up?
Damian Priest out of the Judgment Day. They kick him out. Damian Priest back to babyface. That also
Because I'm
still
pretty
leaves
sure the stipulation is that the Judgment Day it can't be at ringside.
yeah,
Or
but
Damian Priest said or told Seth that he'll leave his boys out of the match.
but is that an official thing?
It's not an official stipulation. It's just something that Damian Priest said that he was going to do, that he could do it on his own. That Judgment Day will not be there. But is Carlito official member of Judgment Day? Can he show up?
Does
Liv
anybody care
Morgan's
about-
not an official member. Liv Morgan's not an official member of Judgment Day. Can she show up and be a distraction to further try to insert herself into Judgment Day to try to take Rhea Ripley's spot? There's a lot of things you could do with this. Like I said, as a fan, I just don't know if I'm ready to see Damian Priest part of Judgment Day, because I think this is the best that Judgment Day has been these past couple months with the storytelling of Liv Morgan and Dominic and all that intertwining in and out with Damian Priest, always posting up Dom, get away from Liv Morgan. Like, this is really good storytelling here. I just don't know if I'm really ready for that to end right away. Keep in mind, Damian Priest just won his belt 2 months ago. Well, it's about to be 3. I don't. Does Triple H take the title of Damian Priest? I honestly would like to see Damian Priest hold this belt all about Survivor Series. Have him, get his wins, get his win at SummerSlam, and I'll tell you why. You have Damian Priest hold till Survivor Series. Gives Punk enough time to heal and build. Get Punk that title and have Punk and Seth at WrestleMania for the title. As far as Gunther, now what do we do with Gunther, you might ask? Well, I've been talking about it for the last 12 to 15 months now. And I'm sticking with this prediction still, although I feel like my prediction's in jeopardy. But I still feel that Gunther has been the knocking on the door of winning the Royal Rumble the last 2 to 3 years now, being the final 4. And the WWE would love nothing more to have Cody versus Gunther. See, the thing is, there's just so many options, especially on the Raw side. The main event scene is so populated. Like, there's many options. But I feel like WWE is intentionally keeping Gunther and Cody away purposely. Why haven't we gotten that match? One might wonder. And they had a banger twice, 2 years in a row, the last couple minutes to close out the Royal Rumble. I think Gunther is going to be the one to win the Royal Rumble this year in 2025. And Gunther is going to choose Cody. And we get Cody versus Gunther at WrestleMania main event.
I don't know.
I've been talking about this since WrestleMania 39. Not to say that they're going to do it, but I can see it happening. But maybe they do have the plan to, have Gunther have that world title to have Gunther make that title prestigious. And if they really, really want to build prestige behind that title, I think Gunther is your guy for sure.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that, but that also doesn't like get rid of the fact that like, if Gunther wrestles whoever at SummerSlam, that means he doesn't win, which I'm fine with. He can wrestle Seth and Seth can beat Gunther, and I don't think it would take away anything from Gunther because Royal Rumble is like another 6 months away. So he's a whole another half a year to gain momentum back going into the Rumble, and he can get his momentum dropped and then gain it right back, and people will be completely fine with getting behind him because people like Gunther.
And Damian Priest has been doing such a good job with this current title run. Do you know how elevated he'll be after he has wins against Seth Rollins and Gunther on his resume during this title run? I mean, this is really gonna make Damian Priest even more, so that this way, when Damian Priest loses his title, he'll be a viable option to return back to as another option for a world title holder. At least you have Damian Priest as an established talent who shows that he can belong in the world title picture for sure going forward. But anyway, I haven't. I don't know that they can definitely go. Seth wins, then they do Damian Priest, Finn Balor, and that's very possible too. Seth Gunther
Yeah.
wins. They can do
I
that.
think that's
Or maybe Gunther doesn't win. Seth holds it, and then we build to his Seth versus Punk feud for that title.
nah.
And then Gunther, meanwhile, wins the Rumble.
They have to get Punk and Drew done.
I think they get Punk and Drew done by SummerSlam. I think they get it done. I think between now and Survivor Series gives a lot of time to get Punk and Drew out of the way.
I don't think no. I mean, it's WWE booking, dude. Like Punk and Drew isn't finished at SummerSlam. That's their first match. Punk and Drew's not finished.
I mean, there's plenty of time to get done with Punk and Drew. I mean, this could spill into Survivor Series for all we know.
That's fine. But personally, for me, I know they switched Survivor Series to War Games, but I've always liked the Raw versus SmackDown for Survivor. And now that they hopefully maybe bring NXT back into it and do like the triple threats, like that's always been like I like that. But then again, like people are trying to write it into play right now, like do Bloodline versus old Bloodline versus new Bloodline in War Games. That's what people
That seems to be the writing on the wall.
But
And not to mention they do the men's and the women's War Games.
what is Survivor Series is November, right?
Yeah. You know where the IWC was rumoring Survivor Series to be at this year, right?
Survivor Series this year?
Yeah, the IWC was rumoring Survivor Series to be at the Mecca, Madison Square Garden.
Cool.
It's never been officially announced. I believe when I see it, but it's been a long time. It's been a while.
I'm do another Royal Rumble at the Garden, but WWE will never do that ever again because it's too small.
No, I mean, it's not even that it's like too small. They could do a freaking Royal Rumble Hammerstein Ballroom if they want. It's just the problem is they're selling out baseball stadiums for these Royal Rumbles. They're drawing crowds, so they're gonna go for these stadium shows first with these big four.
I've personally been dying to see a Rumble in my lifetime, and I want to see one at the Garden because of how iconic it is.
I mean, I don't want to say it's never going to happen, but I feel like we're going to get Survivor Series first before we ever see a Rumble at the Garden again. Just think of the closest indoor stadium or Southern Stadium, and that's where Rumbles are always going to be. I don't know. The closest dome stadium, well, it's already been announced, Indiana. That's one of the closest dome stadiums. You got Toronto. They could always do that. I wouldn't be surprised if Toronto gets a Rumble for sure. They're not going to run in these cold states anymore if they're doing baseball stadiums. So I feel like Royal Rumble's always going to be somewhere you're going to be traveling to.
Down freaking Arizona or Texas for a Rumble.
Oh, forget it, Texas. I mean, Texas will definitely sell for sure. Great fan base over there. Again, if we're getting away from arena shows, and that disqualifies Boston, Chicago. I don't want to say that Royal Rumbles in stadiums is a foregone conclusion going forward, but if it's hot right now, they're going for stadiums.
Yeah.
All right. So we talked in length about Damian Priest defended against Seth Rollins. I mean, if Damian loses, at least he has something lined up to do with Finn Balor. They can do that for SummerSlam, and then Seth would go against Gunther. Whatever happens there, I'm still sticking to my prediction that Gunther does not win a title this summer, but he'll win Rumble at and then challenge at Mania for Cody Rhodes. I'm still sticking to that. SummerSlam could prove me wrong. SummerSlam could prove me wrong, and then I'll waste about the last 15 months of me predicting this. But if I'm right, I'll look like Nostradamus. But we'll see. Because nobody's been calling Cody. I've been calling Cody and Gunther before WrestleMania 39. Or maybe just after WrestleMania 39. Because I predicted Cody and beating Roman at WrestleMania 40, almost a year out. And then I predict 41 right after that. So far, I'm still on until SummerSlam could prove me wrong, though. We'll see.
Yeah. All right.
The last match, we got KO, Randy, and Cody versus the Bloodline. This is going to be a banger. So many possibilities. Roman Reigns, again, I don't know if you've seen on media with IWC, people reporting Roman Reigns is very close to coming back. If it's going to happen, I would expect it to be here at Money to Bank. If not, next week's SmackDown, the first SmackDown build to SummerSlam. But we got the Bloodline. We know what's been happening with them. They got the Tonga boys. We'll just say Tonga boys. Solo. Jacob Fatu. He looks great.
So good.
You know who'll be there. Rumored that Hikuleo is on his way to WWE. And another Fatu. I mean, how many Fatus are there?
That was like
lost
Zila.
here. Yeah. So this bloodline stuff ain't going away anytime soon. But it's okay. It's been a good storyline for like the last 4 years. The bloodline storylines carried WWE.
Yep.
But fans have been clamoring for Roman Reigns to come back. We obviously know what happened with the loss of his father last week, Sika. So in my mind, and in last week's show, I told whoever the viewers were that week, don't even bother predicting any Uso or Roman Reigns to show up at the MSG show. Sure enough, they didn't. That week was reserved for their dad. I knew Usos were not coming back at that show because of the circumstances. Yeah. Now, had Sika not passed last week, then it would have been a different story. Possibly. Maybe they would have came in to Paul Heyman's save. That would have been a perfect spot to bring Roman Reigns back. And that actually probably was the plan. But, life happens, and you got to call an audible sometimes. But anyhow, I believe Roman Reigns is very close to coming back. I think we have KO, Randy, and Cody being overpowered by the bloodline here and outnumbered. and then we get Roman Reigns coming back, or maybe we get Jimmy. Maybe we get Jimmy coming back. Um, Maybe the fans will believe he's going to join the Bloodline, but he turns on the Bloodline. Maybe we get Jimmy. Maybe we get Roman. Maybe we get them both. Somebody's showing up at Money in the Bank, in my opinion, this week, which I'm excited about.
There, right?
What's that?
The Jay's already going to be on the show.
Jay will already be on the show, so he could always kind of jump in a little later on, and they can start something there.
I mean, yeah, I feel like Bloodline wins easily, right? KO.
I think Bloodline gets the win here.
Yeah, I think I don't know. Probably KO takes the pin. Probably Fatu pins him, right? I mean, it's 3-on-3.
Let's
right?
see. Is Fatu even in the match? I have him being there in the building. I don't think he's in the match though. I can tell you who's in the match. It's both the Tongas and Solo. Tama Tonga and Tangaloa.
Why are they
the Tonga boys?
Why are they saving Fatu for something else?
Well, they're not really saving him. They just brought him in like 2 weeks ago, so like I feel like he'll be inserted.
Other member of the Bloodline.
What happened?
Fatu outworks every other member of the Bloodline in ring.
I know, but their main focus right now is Solo, and I think that's where
he's gonna overshadow everybody.
So that I know, and I think that's where they're trying to be a little careful for now.
They know.
It is possible that they all turn on Solo at some point, and Solo comes crawling back to the OG bloodline, and Solo will be the fourth guy, and then maybe you have the Tonga twins and some Fatu, and you have Hikuleo as the new bloodline going against Roman, Jimmy, Jay, and Solo. They could do that unless they have plans for Sammy to be there. I feel like it's more organic with Sammy in the mix somehow.
Or they can also add The Rock in.
So that's the thing. We can't forget that too. Like The Rock is lingering around. You could have something like that. So we have to see a build for that. So you got time. You got the whole entire fall to build that up. Excuse me. It is 12:20 Eastern Time in New York. We are almost done. But anyhow, a lot of options there. I got the Bloodline winning. I have somebody showing up to come to the aid of Cody, Randy, and Kevin. And because of that reason, Cody, Randy, and Kevin could get the win because of a save. But we'll see. But if you want to keep Bloodline moving strong for now and make them legitimate between now and War Games, I think you get the Bloodline some wins here.
Yeah, I think Bloodline wins. Nobody shows up.
That's very possible too, because
their moment for their first kind of big pay-per-view win over like three of the top biggest baby faces on SmackDown, letting them have that dominant win and then taking a little bit to let the others come back and start to chop down their momentum, especially with them just kicking out Paul Heyman. Paul Heyman's going to go crying to Roman. You know what I mean? So the return's inevitable, but I don't think it happens on the pay-per-view, though it seems predictable enough to happen on the pay-per-view. I think they should save it.
Yeah, I think you might be right there. There's another thing I want to bring up too. But yeah, I mean, we got to keep in mind that we also kind of predicted run-ins in a way for some of the other matches, like CM Punk, possible Finn Balor interference. So if you have somebody kind of running in and showing up in the main event here, you're risking overbooking of run-ins throughout the whole night.
Classic.
So, like Triple H is always known for always giving you something. He doesn't just show all his cards at once, but he's always known for giving you something. And I think we're gonna get somebody showing up, even if that somebody is CM Punk, and some run-ins and stuff. We'll see this. What I'm saying is, Triple H will probably save the shenanigans for the other matches and keep this. But I can see Bloodline winning. Nobody coming to Cody's, Randy, and KO save. Bloodline winning and adding a member, Hikuleo maybe, or the other Fatu. So I can see that happen, and then Bloodline wins. So, one other thing I want to address is we can't. The fans have been rumoring it for weeks and months now that the SummerSlam match could be Cody versus Randy Orton. So it's something to keep an eye on there of how that could play out. Does Randy turn? Does Randy fight on a SmackDown on Gauntlet Challenge to use the number one contender at SummerSlam for Cody? I'm interested to see how they get there if that's going to happen. So there's just something to keep in the back of our head there.
Sure.
But well, we've covered a lot. We've covered a lot in better detail than I thought we were even going to cover just at this late hour of the night. It's 12:23 here Eastern Time in Long Island, New York. The most magical place in the world, as MJF would say.
Yep.
Anyhow, those of you guys that are watching, please feel free to jump in your comments anytime as we do our shows. Give us a like and share our post show. Our prediction show. We're going to have a book review, Becky Lynch book review tentatively tomorrow. So, guys, make sure you set your alerts so that you don't miss that. Great book. We'll talk about Becky Lynch's career a little bit. Figure it'd be something fun to do. We're going to have our Money to Bank post show. I would estimate probably around 10 o'clock on Saturday nights. Triple H likes to keep those pay-per-views under 3 hours, so I would expect that pay-per-view end around 9:45, 10 o'clock. So we will go live immediately after Money in the Bank. And it doesn't get any much easier from there. Monday is a Raw, our bi-weekly Raw post show. Tonight was a special because it was our only night to get this prediction show in. 4th of July is this Wednesday. We're going to celebrate the holidays. We're not going to be here Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday. Maybe we'll do some tweets or whatever, some Instagram posts or some throwbacks. Like I posted the other day, got close to 2,000 views of just a 30-second clip of Roman Reigns putting Braun Strowman through a table. So, we'll probably throw some random stuff in there like that throughout the week. But those of you guys that are watching, please do us a favor and just have a safe and happy 4th of July. Don't light any fireworks if you're not licensed to do so, or if you've never done it before. We want you guys safe. The worst thing we want to hear is anybody that's linked to us getting hurt. Don't want that to happen. So I want you guys to be safe. So please be careful. Drive your windows up when people are shooting fireworks, please. We don't want to hear any crazy instances, and we just want you guys to have a safe, enjoyable weekends. We'll be here Saturday. We'll be here Monday. A lot of stuff going down the next few days, guaranteed. Who knows? Maybe we do a heat wave post show Sunday night. We'll see. There's a lot of stuff going down. There's always a lot of wrestling, and so we'll hope to get some more shows to you guys. Especially on the AEW end. We haven't really done much of AEW because WWE is really honestly the hotter product right now, easier product to talk about. Those of you guys that are watching, thank you so much for joining us. Make sure you hit that like button and share with your friends. In the meantime, you guys have a good 4th of July week, and we will talk to you guys soon.
Agility from the champion. Oh, 10-6. That could be it. Delivers this